The market they called a terrorist zone. They said it was a precision strike. They said the target was a terrorist logistics hub. They said the mission was a success. But when the smoke cleared over Jilli Market on the night of April 11th, 2026, what witnesses described was not the clean elimination of insurgents. It was burned bodies, shattered stalls, wounded survivors, and families searching for children in the dark. Amnesty International said it spoke to survivors and hospitals and found evidence that children were among the dead. The military's explanation is chilling in its simplicity. The area near Jilli, along the Borno-Yobe border, was believed to be used by Boko Haram or allied jihadist fighters as a supply route and food market. In other words, the same place where civilians came to trade and survive was also believed to be a place militants sometimes visited. That overlap is where this story stops looking like a battlefield mistake and starts looking like a much deeper failure. And that is where the controversy begins. Because if a market is known to be used by both civilians and insurgents, then the real question is not only who was there. The real question is, why was an airstrike approved there at all? Reuters reported that residents and a local councillor feared the death toll could exceed 200. AP reported over 100 civilians killed. The exact number may still move, but the pattern does not. This was not supposed to happen. Except in Nigeria, it keeps happening. AP reported that more than 500 civilians have died in similar military strikes since 2017. Reuters linked this latest strike to a long chain of earlier incidents. The December 2023 Tudun Biri drone strike in Kaduna that killed at least 85 civilians. An April 2024 strike in Zamfara that killed 33 civilians during Eid. A September 2024 strike in Kaduna that killed at least 24. A December 2024 strike in Sokoto that killed 10. And a January 2025 strike in the Northwest that killed at least 15. So this is no longer just a tragedy. It is a pattern. Security analysts cited by AP pointed to poor intelligence gathering, weak coordination, and communication failures. That matters, because every time officials call these incidents accidental, the same question returns. At what point does a repeated mistake become evidence of a system that is broken beyond excuse? The Nigerian Air Force has now said it is investigating. Premium Times reported that the service activated its civilian harm investigation mechanism and said protection of innocent lives remains central to its operations. But the timing of that language is exactly why critics are angry. Investigations tend to come after the bodies are counted, after the hospital beds fill, after officials argue over numbers, and after the public is told once again that the target was legitimate. And that is what makes the story darker than a normal military blunder, because this was not an attack on a hidden camp in the forest. It was a strike connected to a weekly market, a place where ordinary people buy food, move goods, and try to stay alive in a war zone. The state says militants were there. Survivors say civilians were there. Both can be true. But if both were true, then someone still made the decision that this was an acceptable risk. That decision is the real story. Not just whether the military killed the wrong people, but whether civilians in conflict zones are quietly being treated as collateral the moment they enter a place the military labels suspicious. Because once a market becomes a terrorist enclave, every woman carrying grain, every trader unloading goods, every child following a parent through the crowd becomes vulnerable to being seen not as a person, but as movement inside a target box. And when that happens, the dead are no longer just victims of war. They become victims of classification. So here is the open question that should haunt this case. Was Jilli Market a tragic misfire caused by bad intelligence? Or is it proof that in Nigeria's counterinsurgency war, the line between militant target and civilian life has become dangerously, perhaps deliberately, blurred? When a government bombs a market and calls it precision, the real target may not be terrorists. It may be accountability. At what point do repeated civilian massacres stop being called accidents and start being called policy failure? In Jilli, the bombs may have missed their target, but the system behind them may be working exactly as it has for years. Follow Dark Evidence for more.